Yo, what's up guys? Draconia here for another Dragon Ball Legends video. Today I'm gonna try to talk about something which is, I don't know how we'll start this the best, but it's most of the fact that I think this year Legends feels kinda weird to me at this point. And what I mean is, like, at the start of the year, I think onto Daima, I think Legends was this year like in a good direction to be like maybe the best, actually having the best year. But ever since Daima, it just kind of went downhill. And one part, obviously, Daima was one of the more annoying things, but I also think the new game, their new philosophy and then changing, how the game works with damage guard and everything, changed a lot on this game too. But I think one bigger part of this new change they did, um, where I didn't notice it until now, looking at the units a bit more, is the topic damage guard, which I would say, now obviously damage guard is the reason why most older units can't keep up anymore, because 70% reduced damage received is not enough to the whole, like, what units have, like 200% damage guard, and if you don't have enough damage guard and you don't have enough damage to compete against us, you're just simply dropping off the game. So that's why units like Daima, the whole Daima team, Ultra Cell, although he's barely hanging on, but like units like Majin Vegeta, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, Gohan and Trunks, those were all really good units before Anniversary, and now they're kind of dropped down completely. Excluding the Dragon Ball units where they were still kind of testing how to do this, but one significant difference I found when you look at the older units versus the units now, and I think the best example is if you look at Ultra Cell. So he has reduced damage received by 70%, and then some impact and pierce damage received by 50%. So, but if you then look at, for example, this 1% sparking, 17. He has reduced damage received by 70 as well, and also reduced impact damage received by 10%. On this, for example, this Red Trunks, who was a really good defensive unit, reduced damage received by 70 as well. So I think what made this year at the start really, really good is that 1% sparkings most of the time were actually useful and kind of good. I mean, if you go down here a bit, I mean, Tamagami, and before that was Tamagami, really good. Mai was okay, not the best. I mean, there were some formats in the Legends Fest, obviously here and there, but you have this 17. She wasn't that. The 18 wasn't that good, but then you have Super Trunks, Majin Du, Majin Ku, Tambourine was actually good 1% sparking, Jackie Chun as well. So I think this was one of the stronger points of this year, and I think right now, if you look at the 1% sparkings, it completely fell downhill to the point where, I mean, Chaos Caulifla on release were good, but then later on irrelevant. Kaba was solid, had some, let's say, tanking and disruption issues, which I don't like about him, but otherwise he was good. Tien and Jiaozu were okay, I would say also solid. Nappa and slash Cyber were completely garbage. Frost as well, and then King Cole is actually the reason why I'm kind of thinking about this right now, because if you look at him, what he does, he actually seems like a good unit, but if you look at his biggest issue, and I would say this is by far, is damage guard. I mean, if you look at, I'm pulling him up now, if you, I can close these two guys, I think, because keep in mind, all these units had like all reduced damage received by 70. I'm closing him now. So if you look now at, who's the best example for this? I think let's try to pull out Kefla. Okay. So Kefla has 180% damage guard, and then all allied tech universe rep get extra 15. So she would be at what, 159? I think this is her max. And then you have King Code, who released after her, who has like 170 only. And then situational extra 20. I think this is the problem right now, I would say, for especially for the 1% Sparkings, is that their damage guard numbers are not the same as like all the LFs and Ultras, which comes then to the problem of units not tanking well. I mean, if you look at the 1% Sparkings we have, can I sort them by non-LF? Here. Okay. Oh, I think, okay, I can't sort the Ultras out, I guess, but, okay. I mean, it's starting here. If you look at Krillin, right? Krillin has like 150% damage guard, which is pretty bad. He gets extra 20 here. He's still tanking pretty bad. Meanwhile, we have then units like if I pull now the 11s in, besides for Kevlar, for example, Kalkin Goku, who has 180, and then with his unique gauge 200%, which is easy to fill. That's 3 cards. Except for against Ultra Frieza, he's just stacking a lot of damage guard, so he's safe. And even Vegeta here gets up to 200% damage guard in this. My question is now, why do we not keep the 1% Sparkings at the same damage guard as the modern units? Because I think one issue I think all can agree in this meta right now is not many units are relevant. And I think one big reason why is because number one, we didn't get a lot of Zenkais. That's one of the reasons. And number two, the 1% Sparkings are not keeping up with the LF units, and especially not with the new Ultras, which leads to less team options you could do. Because I generally think, and even the Zenkais we got, I have them all put up here, Cooler included, they can't seem to figure out what they want to give for damage card for the new units. And I think this is a real problem. I mean, if we look at here, let's look at this Goku. So he has 120% damage card. He has an extra 30 against big moves on standby. So he's at 150 peak. But, so he's at 130, he had 120 here, and I would say his tanking is not the greatest. But here's the thing, he later on has his unique gauge to evade attacks, so hitting him is kind of taking sometimes a while, so it's not the worst thing if he doesn't have like the highest damage guard numbers. But then if you look at, for example, this Frieza, he has only damage guard by 100% and he's taking shit. So, and this is the thing, the recent Zenkai units, they all have not good damage guard numbers and they can't seem to figure out, okay, what damage guard numbers do these units need to actually compete? Because I think this Frieza, generally speaking, from what he can do, is not horrible. His tanking and his defensive utility is. I mean, same with this Frieza. This Frieza is, I think, a far better example. He has 100% damage guard. Pulse Revival, he gets additional 30, so he has 130. And then he has like 10% where he has to be, I think, on the battlefield and the enemy has to activate him. Oh no, he doesn't have to be on the battlefield, but if the enemy activates like a blue card ultimate, he's getting extra 10%. So in theory, he would be at like 160. And I don't think anybody thinks that Revival Frieza is tanking well. Especially because he has like only a one-time disrupt and anything. So, what if you see this guy tanking bad with like 130, 160, why do you think this guy with 100% is tanking? And this is kind of a big issue, I think, because again, I don't think these Zenkais would have been horrible. I mean, this guy definitely needed, these two definitely lack defensive utility at all, completely. Like, they don't have to have a crazy disrupt, but they basically have none at all. Like, this guy has no disrupt at all. This guy has a one-time disrupt, which, if somebody like Namek Goku gets disrupted, congratulations, you reduce the key by 50 and take his cover away one time. The next time he's coming in, he's doing nothing because he doesn't even have a cover change. Same with this guy. So, and then now we come to the newest Zenkai, Zenkai Cooler, which I haven't been using it, obviously, because he just came out today with a Zenkai. But then you see his 100% damage guard and like 130 maybe on the first combo, and it's like, if this guy doesn't tank that well with the stats he has, and he doesn't have like crazy defense stats, then he's not tanking that well. Like, I think this is a huge problem they need to fix, because while I do think, for example, I think on paper this cooler looks great. I think he looks great, but the defenses matter, and if he can tank well, I'm pretty confident a Type Blue Dynamic Goku can just destroy this guy, because he doesn't have the proper defenses. Like, again, 100%, 110% damage guard, this is not enough. We already seen this guy with 130 or 150 not tanking the greatest. Why are we going lower or on similar stats? And I think this is the same issue I have with King Code, for example. Great that he has 170, and it's situational 190, I guess, because no one is going to switch twice against this unit. But I have him at 12 stars, now at 13, and the thing is, he's not tanking well. With Zenka buff and everything, he's not tanking well. And I'm just thinking, if this guy had 200% damage guard, he would be a great unit in the meta. I think 200% he would be okay. Maybe 210 would be perfect, but 200%, I think, again, we can even look at other units like Frost. I think Frost is also a big example, big problem with this. He has 170, gets additional 30 against Saiyans, but we always see how this is against Ultra Frieza. He's not tanking well at all, and also not doing great damage and everything. But one of the problems I personally just had with him is like, he is not good at surviving. He just takes too much damage, especially against Frieza, who does like billions of damage. And this is the thing, they keep progressing with the damage over and over and over, but the damage guard, especially for the 1% sparking, is keeping low. If we're starting to give like Kaioken Goku or Evolution Blue Vegeta or Saiyan Vegeta 200% damage guard, then 1% sparking should at least have 200%. Especially if you're thinking this is a great idea to make, I don't know, where is he? This stupid unit, and you're giving in 200% baseline, and then later on he gets what? Additional 30% on entry for 10 timer counts, and you pair it up with Krillin, who gives additional 20%. That's like 250. 250 for this Ultra, and then you want to say, then you release this guy who has the conditional 190? Like, this guy is just gonna tank everything, and this guy's just gonna die. And like, do you realize how big the difference is between 190 and 250 damage guard? 60% damage guard. That's a huge difference that most units don't have, and I think this is a major problem right now in the meta. Is I think 1% sparkings right now, it's not that they don't have not all of them have a terrible kit. I would say, I mean, I can close some tabs here. I think I make my point with these units, for example. But I think Tien and Jiaozu are not bad. I think Kaba is not a bad unit. Like, he has great offenses, but defensively he has issues. These guys at this point have defensive issues, and to top end as well as Ultra Frieza just Bash Beam Cannon and then maybe completely ignoring the Disrupt, which was one of their biggest strengths. This Krillin, he's more for support unit, and this is all he does, but he's tanking horribly. If you get in one situation where this guy can't switch out to any of his Ultra buddies, he's just dying, because he just has so horrible defenses. Which in his case, I get it, because the amount of support he gives to these two is just ridiculous. But with other units, it's like, again, King Cold, I like him, like he does good things, but he's just dying too quickly. And imagine you don't have him like me at almost 14 stars. Dude, what are you doing with him? He's just dying in like one mistake, and especially because he's was my first thought when they mentioned all these units like King Cold, Metal Cooler, and his Zenkai. I thought, putting the lasso back again, I thought these two with him would be a great team. But like 2 of the 3 like in theory, it would be like 2 out of 3 are not tanking well, and then this guy turns out is also not tanking well, so this team sucks. Although we'll probably try it later, I know for sure defensively this team sucks. Like, great offensive strength with these two probably. This guy's doing nothing, and it's just disappointing. I think that's something they need to start fixing if they want to make this game like more, I would say, versatile and less boring. It's like, make the 1% sparkings good offensively, but also defensively. I don't say they need to do everything. Like, I don't mean like that this guy needs like a super strong disrupt. That's not even my point, but they need to have proper damage guard numbers. You can't just give only the AFs and ultras like over 200 and then keep them stuck at 170. Like, they saw this guy tanking like shit, and everyone was saying, dude, this guy is not tanking. Especially against Ultra Freezer, because he's not insane. 170% damage guard is not enough. The next unit should have had 200% damage guard unconditionally. That's not hard to figure out. I don't know why they do this now, because again, back then, this 17, this Red Trunks, they all have the same reduced damage received as LF and Ultra characters. That's why they were so usable. They had they were solid defensively, and if they had a proper kit, they were working and usable 1% sparkings. Right now we have some 1% sparkings who have a usable kit, but not the defenses to keep up. And you have to remember, every single time they release new units, they're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. This is what they have always been doing. Increasing the damage numbers and maybe barely the defenses, and then all of a sudden you can't keep up. A unit like King Cold is struggling right now, and it will be even worse later on. So at this point, what I think they need to do is, and I think they should do this also now, is units that just lack the defenses, they should adjust their damage guard numbers. I think they did this for Tamarine and Demon King Piccolo, which I think was a good idea to do. Even though it didn't make the biggest impact, I think it was a good decision to make if they noticed the tanking was way well. And to be honest, when I faced like a proper star Dragon Ball team, I had struggles to actually do damage against them because they have so damage guard numbers. So, not anymore, obviously, because other units with higher damage and damage guard numbers showed up, but like King Cold, 200% damage guard should be a thing. He should have basic 200% damage guard. This guy should have had higher damage guard numbers. Even Tien and Charles, I would say all these 1% sparkings from Versi except him, because I think him with his support would be too much if he would survive better. But the other units, I think, need proper damage guard numbers. And they need to do this with the 1% sparkings. They need to start figure it out with the Zenkais, because if they're gonna give all these Zenkai units, including LF Zenkais, all these damage guard numbers that only are like 110% or 130, they're not gonna be relevant. Like, I'm barely seeing this guy in the top 10, because he just has not the defenses to keep up. And it's not like he's an offensive god as well. His offense looks good, but not impressive crazy. Like, he's not coming in like Kefla, beating the shit out of you. Like, that's not what can happen. And if he doesn't do that, then having not the proper damage guard and defensive survive is not good enough. So this is the topic I wanted to talk about. What do you know? What you guys think about this? Again, I think this is a thing. If they can fix this and make 1% sparkings also more relevant, it kind of helps them. I think this. Then here's the thing again. I think this is, they envision the 1% sparkings with the units, but they're making their damage guard so bad so that they're not included on the team they envision it, and it gets kind of bad. Because I think, again, another unit, best example is that if Nappa had proper defenses, and maybe a bit better damage, he could have changed the entire meta, because he's a counter to the KO guard mechanic. That would have been great. More diversity, more reason to use Saiyan Saga, but they fumbled the bag because not only is he not good enough, generally speaking, but especially the defenses are not good enough. 150% damage guard, you're not tanking, my friend. You're not tanking. And funny enough, I have this guy at high stars too. One strike, blue card lock in, he's probably dead. That's how bad the defenses are. So they need to fix this. Yeah, again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you find this topic interesting, and maybe do you notice other things ever since they're all changed that they should maybe try to fix and change? Let me know. I would be very interested, and see you guys in the next video.